All right, we should be live now. Welcome, guys, to the Win or Tilt show. This will be episode 3. So we have 11 games today. A lot to talk about for NBA. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, we have some teams playing for nothing. Some teams are still fighting for position in the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see, talk about this board, see what we like, see what we don't like. But Mark, so yesterday, what do you have to say about yesterday?
What do we call this? Because technically this was a win, right? Like we doubled our money, but we tilt because we could have 5x'd our money or 10x'd our money, but we lost out by 0.2.
The thing with this too was I think we talked about it. We thought we were dead in the Embiid prop, because he had, I think, 8 fantasy points in the first quarter. This is not hitting. And then in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the first half, he just went off.
I feel like it was even the last literally 2 minutes because I was at a photo shoot and I literally was looking at it with 3 minutes to go and he had I think he had hit 2 free throws and I was like, there's no shot at this. And then I checked back an hour later, and it's did we really lose by 0.2?
A pretty bad beat, to be honest.
Yeah, I almost rather he finish at 10 points than because that is 1 turnover or 1 extra free throw, and we 1 less turnover, 1 more free throw, and we win that. So but we tried out a new process, going at it with the first half lines. And we smashed it literally outside of Embiid.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about Westbrook there. So he hit it. He hit that prop with about 2 minutes to go. But obviously the -1 for turnovers. I was watching that Lakers game. I was just he's not doing anything. I was like, just don't turn the ball over, Russ. Don't turn it over. So
you want to talk about the Lakers yesterday? I bet them plus 19.5. So the line was 13. I was like, they're probably going to lose, but I was like,
is it the live bet or is this?
No. I did a 3 pick parlay. So I teased them really heavy. And so I had the Lakers. I moved the line from 13.5 to 19.5. And they were down 25 basically the entire game. Mm-hmm. And then in the final 4 minutes, cut it to 20. And then I think with 1 second to go, they hit a shot to go to lose by 18. And so I covered the 19.5 just by the skin of my teeth. So that was nerve-wracking, but hey, a win's a win.
Talking about the Lakers,
they suck.
Did you see that rotation? They played 13 guys. In DFS 2 games ago when LeBron was out, they're in an 8-man rotation. So I'm like, okay, I'm playing Malik Monk, who played really well. I played THT, who 3 fouls in 5 minutes in the first half. That is unbelievable for a guard. Yeah. And then I played Carmelo, who played 10 total minutes, right? They played Trevor Ariza 25 minutes and dusted off Bazemore. That was so frustrating to watch.
To be fair, Ariza balled out. He's actually probably the reason why I hit that prop because he was in that fourth quarter was playing out of his mind. From a betting standpoint, I loved it last night. From a DFS standpoint, I would have been livid. I think Wayne Ellington was the only guy for the Lakers that didn't play.
Yeah, I think they played everyone else. Dwight was a super popular play last night. I think he played 5 minutes. So luckily I avoided him. But
we did say on the stream, we talked about Malik Monk. His line wasn't out yesterday, but we talked about him and he balled out.
He was basically the only one scoring, him and Westbrook.
Yeah.
And I do want to say too, the first half props. The reason we liked the Luka so much was just don't have to worry about the blowout, right? Now, Luka would have hit the main one anyway because he went off in 3 quarters. But that's what I'm the most, I think, willing to take. Some of these first half ones are in potential blowouts. Now, you nailed Isaiah Stewart, right? I think he hit that in the first quarter.
Yeah, that was fun.
He stayed out of foul trouble, smashed. Drummond smashed that as well. So those are a couple nice picks from you. But the Luka one again. The first half ones I'm more willing to take in games I think could blow out.
Yeah. And then our other prop, we got a little host.
Taking the Vooch rebounds instead of the PRA killed us.
Yeah, that was tough. We were banking on Levine being out, even though I don't know.
The line really didn't move much with Levine when he got rolled in.
No, but we would have taken Vooch PRA, and that would have hit. So that was frustrating. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. But
yeah, that was a 3 of 5. It wasn't bad, and again, Porzingis came pretty close too. He kind of faded down the stretch.
Yeah,
still like that strategy of going all in one game for a five picker. I think like the upset a lot. We'll talk about one of those games here. Waiting for more props to be put up, but the Houston Sacramento game is one that I'm like kind of all in on tonight.
Yeah. By the way, before we get deeper into things, did you already tweet out the link? Because I'll tweet it out right now that we're live.
Yeah, I can tweet it out.
Okay.
So
we should throw that in the Discord too, in the PrizePicks, and let people know we're going over PrizePicks.
Yep.
Yeah, I can talk about that late game while you're doing that. I'll talk about that late game where I ran a 3-pick, which I never do. I don't know if I've ever done a 3-pick before yesterday. And I was sitting there waiting for my Sweet Green, and I saw the line.
I love Sweet Greens.
Sweet Green's so good.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I said, Donovan Mitchell over 25. He's going to hit 25.5. He's going to hit that. Reggie Jackson over 4.5 assists. Which is crazy to me that dropped because he's been around 5.5 pretty regularly. And I was like, I get it that Paul George is back. But Paul George, I wouldn't say he's the world's best facilitator. He's a great scorer. He still facilitates, but that's also way more opportunity for Reggie to get assists because he's dishing it to Paul George versus dishing it to Terrence Mann, Right. And Paul George nailed his. He had started off rough, was incredible down the stretch.
I'm surprised how many minutes he played. They just were like, Paul George, go out there. There was no limit. They played 32 minutes.
Yeah, I think he was. They probably said to him at some point, "We need to take you out," and he said, "I'm not coming out. I'm hot."
That game was incredible to watch, though. I'm not gonna lie.
That was. It was a game. If I saw a lot of people on gambling Twitter last night real mad because they had taken the Jazz money line, and if you took that Jazz money line last night, you'd be livid because
that was up 25 in the third, I think.
Yeah, that was, and they just fell apart. They got Isaiah Hartenstein did his thing, Paul George did his thing, Reggie came back and played well. Luke Kennard hit some big threes. That was a game that, boy, I would be tilting quite a bit if I was somebody who would bet the Jazz there, but I did not. So
agree on that.
The other thing I'll say about yesterday is that we talked about it yesterday, talking about the Nets. The Nets are a team that when they should blow out a team, they
called that. They called that one.
I took the Pistons with the points yesterday. They easily got that.
That was like a 14-point spread, right?
Yeah. And Cade, my God, rookie of the year. I don't know how anybody's even debating that.
What are the odds next? I know Mobley's been the favorite for a while. Is he still the favorite?
I think so. And then some people are trying to argue Scotty Barnes. I'm like, Scotty Barnes is great. Don't get me wrong. But Cade is a franchise-changing player. He's incredible. And I love Mobley. Don't get me wrong. But this is a league where wings are you win with a wing. You don't win with a big. I love Embiid, but Embiid, it wasn't winning anything without getting Harden or, somebody else to play alongside him. So, you need a wing. And it's just I guess you could semi-call Giannis a big, but he's a wing still technically. Yeah. He can play whatever position, to be honest. But a guy like Cade Cunningham, he's the reason why you're going to eventually win a championship. And I like Mobley a lot, but they're going to need other guys around Mobley and probably somebody who's even a little bit better than Mobley. While Cade, you just put some nice pieces around him, and that team's going to be stacked. But yeah, I agree with Caleb. Caleb said people are overlooking him because of his slow start. Yeah, he was hurt to start off the year, and then he came on and balled out. But yeah, last night he started off shooting terribly, and he kept shooting, and he started rocking his shots. He was getting assists, he was getting steals. He was getting everything. great game yesterday for KJ.
Killian Hayes had a good game there too. I mean, again, he's up and down, but at least he's showing some upside for this team.
Yeah.
Still don't understand why Corey Joseph's playing huge minutes. Like, just start Killian Hayes, but that's another story.
And it doesn't make sense because Killian plays down the stretch. So like, why are you starting Corey Joseph? I'll never understand starting one guy and then bringing the other guy off the bench, but then closing the first half and closing the second half, you have the guy off the bench playing. Why not just start him the entire time?
Agree. I mean, again, the Pistons have nothing to play for right now, so I just give Killian Hayes as many minutes as you can, really.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So do you want to get into talk about the board today?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to talk about some picks that we like, or do you want to go over community first?
Either or.
All right. Let's go over a couple that people post on Twitter. So here, let's go.
Do we have any big injury news that has come out so far?
So here's what we're kind of waiting for. JV's questionable for the Pelicans, Triple J for the Grizzlies. Sengun is doubtful. So again, I'm waiting to see what the KJ Martin prop is if they have one. And then Trey Mann and Hunter are both questionable as well. So it's actually not for how big of a slate it is, it's not a huge one for news. But let's go over a few of these. So Matt said it's an ugly one, and I agree. Okoro over 17 fantasy points. Let's bring that one up. I hate taking overs on guys like this, but I agree. Like, he's going to have to play a ton of minutes here. The Cavs are obviously without their two bigs, so you're probably going to see, Love and Markkanen playing huge minutes in the front court. Garland's obviously going to play like about 40 minutes. And then you're going to see most likely 35 plus minutes for a guy like Okoro. The reason I hate playing a guy like this is just because the minutes have to be there for him, right? And it's the situation where like something weird happens, he gets in foul trouble, or he just plays like awful, and they go to like Lamar Stevens or Chetty Osman, they dust. You never know. So like with Okoro, he has hit it in 3 of the last 5 and should play big minutes, but I hate taking props like this and guys like Okoro that are just like staying in the corner.
Yeah, he always makes me nervous. I mean, I understand the logic of the play, and I do like it. I wish, PrizePicks isn't really going to do a lot of the guys off the bench, but I would think a Dylan Windler or a Lamar Stevens tonight would be good options. They probably don't have their props listed, but
I don't think so.
Somebody like Okoro, like he's going to get the minutes, but he's not a scorer. So the hard part is like you're not really banking on many like 3-point shots and shit like that. So you're more banking on him getting rebounds, steals, blocks, things like that. And he can do that. So, would it shock me if we're talking tomorrow and we're like, oh yeah, Okoro went for 30 last night? No, it wouldn't shock me. But he's just somebody that like you said, he's not some great offensive player. So it's not like they have to keep him out there. And so if they get down, you're looking at like, Garland, LeVert, Markkanen, and Love are where that offense is coming from.
Right.
So Okoro's not really asked to score. And then off the bench, you've got Chetty and you've got Dylan Windler, who are both scorers too. So I don't know. It's like if he's not getting the auxiliary stats, it's a tough thing to guarantee that he's going to get there.
Exactly.
But,
I will say too, the Cavs closed with Dylan Windler. They closed a weird lineup. I think Love and LeVert were like not in the closing lineup last game. I think it was like Dylan Windler and Lamar Stevens or something.
Yeah, I think
it was
so.
a weird closing lineup. I don't think that happens again, but it was just interesting to see that.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at some of these other ones. Let's see. So Jerry posted a few in here. Okay. Let's see. Dwight Powell over 5.5 rebounds. Let's take a look at that one. I'm curious where he's been at recently. So 5.5 rebounds. Cleveland, should have their traditional big out there at all times. I know there's no Mobley and there's no Jarrett Allen, but would assume you have either Love or maybe even a guy like Moses Brown out there that could go small, possibly with a guy like Lauri Markkanen. But Dwight Powell has been hitting this number a decent amount. Obviously, he hit it pretty easily there against the Lakers. I think it's a solid play. Do you have any thoughts on the Dwight Powell rebounds?
So I played Kleber last night, and Kleber got it coming off the bench. I like Dwight Powell tonight. I mean, yeah, I'm not really worried about if this was Minnesota Kevin Love, then yeah, I probably wouldn't take that because he was a great rebounder then.
Right.
Not as much now. So I like the odds of Dwight Powell getting there. What do they have Kleber's rebounds at?
Let's take a look.
He was at
they're basically going to split like the center minutes. Those two. Okay, so they don't have Kleber on the board.
So they'll probably add him late. He was 5 yesterday. I like that. I took that yesterday. I like 5. If you can get 5 on Kleber, I would take that. I do like 5.5 for Dwight Powell, but like you said, it's like they just straight up split their minutes. So is it asking a lot for both of them to get to 6? Not really. I would never play those two together, but yeah, I think you can sprinkle in either of those as a solid play.
Someone brought up the Patrick Beverley one over 22 fantasy points. He's been pretty bad last couple games, but there's also been blowouts from Minnesota. So that one I think is a pretty solid one. I do think he hits that because Beverley should play over 30 minutes if the game stays competitive. And he's a guy that can get those blocks and steals. So not a bad one either. Let's see in the chat. What do we have? So Gabe was mentioning the Houston and Sacramento game, which we'll get to again. I think possibly throwing a 5-play power play there with some Houston Kings is one that I'm liking tonight. Quan brought up Will Barton rebounds. Let's take a look at that one. But he's at 4.5 boards here. He's hit it in 4 of the last 5. I mean, it's a great matchup. I think the only thing you have to worry about here is potential that he only plays 3 quarters, right?
Yeah.
And the Pacers are awful. So,
what do they have Aaron Gordon's rebounds at?
Let's say.
Because he was at 5 last game or 5.5.
5.5. Yeah.
Got that in the first 2 seconds of the game. See, I would rather take that than I would Will Barton. And that's just because, anytime you're trusting a guard to get there on rebounds, especially when you got Jokic and you've got Gordon, who are both great rebounders, that's tough to guarantee I feel confident that Barton's going to get there. I don't hate that play with Will Barton because obviously he's been getting there, but it's a team that's full of great rebounders. So that's the tough part. You kind of just have to hope that game stays close. And if that game stays close, to be honest, they probably all get there. But it's Aaron Gordon's one that he could get that. Once again, he had 5 in the first quarter last game, and it took until the final minute of the game for him to get 6 and 7. But, that's one where I would probably go with the safer bet as a guy on the inside than a guard.
What I'll say about this is Mike Malone, he is, I think, a super overrated coach. I don't think he's a good coach at all.
Yeah.
And the rotations they're running right now, he's basically just playing the starters all together and the backups all together. So you're not getting any minutes from Gordon and Barton right now without Jokic on the floor whenever they're on the floor. So you're not getting any Gordon and Barton minutes without Jokic, which makes me a little bit nervous about the rebound props because one, you have the potential that this game blows out. The Pacers are awful. They've been getting blown out a lot. And number 2, they're just getting no minutes on the court without Jokic, who's a phenomenal rebounder. Obviously going for almost 20 rebounds last game. So those are my only hesitations with the secondary Denver guys and the rebounds is potential blowout and no minutes without Jokic.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think if anything, if you're going to play a play like Barton or Aaron Gordon, then that's a game that I would do a full stack on. And then
kind of hope it stays close.
Yeah, and hope it stays close and just do some combination of Tyrese Halliburton assists, Buddy Hield points. If Goga's playing, maybe Goga points, PRA, whatever, and then run it back with Aaron Gordon rebounds and Jokic PRA or something along those lines. I think that's probably your best bet if you think that game's going to stay close. But I think there's always a chance, not always, a solid chance that Denver just smokes them.
Yeah, and right now it's 9.5, so not massive blowout risk, but obviously it is something you do have to factor that in.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I think that's kind of it for community picks. Caleb brought up Adam steals and blocks at 1.5. So I will say I like this quite a bit if Jaren Jackson Jr. does not play. Right now, it's questionable. So, I'm pretty high on Adams in general. If Jaren Jackson Jr. is out, basically a lot of these props I think look pretty good because, Jaren Jackson Jr. obviously a good rebounder. And if he's off the court, you saw it wasn't Brandon Clark that started. It was Kyle Anderson. So basically Adams was their only true big. And I think he would probably push for around 30 minutes. So this would be one I would kind of wait on. And if Jaren Jackson Jr. gets ruled out, I would definitely hop on that one.
Yeah, I would agree. We also had Jerry bring up on Twitter his 4 picks. We might as well go over those. He had Jalen Green over 2.5 3-pointers. I do like that. I think, Jalen Green had
many three? Here's the thing. I love here. I'll just bring him up on DraftKings so we can see how many threes he's been shooting. But he played 40 minutes last game, right? And there's no Wood, no Sengun. The Rockets are shutting down some of their veterans. So 15, 11, 10 3-pointers in the last 3 games. I agree. I think that's a solid. I'm high on the Rockets in general in DFS and on PrizePicks. But yeah, Jalen Green, I think that over 3-point prop makes a ton of sense just because.
It already moved to 3.
What?
It already moved to 3.
Was it 2.5 when he?
Yeah.
I still think the 3 makes some sense just because he's going to play. Like, this is a different situation. You can take advantage of this. It's a different situation right now for the Rockets than it was a week ago, right? This is not a team with, Christian Wood out there. This is not a team where they're running 10-man rotations. This could be an 8-man rotation, and you could see another 40-minute game from Jalen Green, and just way more usage. So, 2.5 would have been good to take it, but I still think the 3 number is one that he could definitely hit.
I would probably, and this is where I go back to the LaMelo Ball example the other day. I would probably take the 20.5. And that's just because if he does get the 3-pointers, right? If he hits over 3, so he gets 4. You got 12 points right there, right? What are the odds he hits 4 3-pointers and doesn't hit
the points?
21, right?
That's a good point.
Pretty low. So I do think he's somebody that, it's frustrating sometimes when you take that 3-point prop and then the guy gets, fouled twice and, he's on the line. He gets, 4 free throws there and boom, he hits another 4 points, or he gets an and one on a layup. And next thing you know, there's 3 points, but you're not getting the 3 points. It's just like I like the 20.5 because I think there's a solid chance that's a game that maybe we end up doing a stack of, but you run like Jalen Green points and then, run some combination of Davion Mitchell points, probably Damian Jones, either his points have been hitting the last few. I've gone to him a few times.
I think, I agree on that. Also, Len questionable, so he could play a little bit more. But I wouldn't mind pairing like Jalen Green points with Kevin Porter Jr. assist, right? Just because I think that makes a ton of sense in this game too.
Yep. Okay. And then trying to think who else in that game I'm a fan of. Harrison Barnes, I'm always a fan of. He just always never makes it easy on you. He's
one of those guys that he kind of needs the minutes, right? He's like, Harrison Barnes is the weirdest thing. Every year at the beginning of the year, he's like an MVP player, right? He's just taking over for the Kings. It's like the first 2 or 3 weeks, this guy's averaging like 45 fancy points a game. It's happened like the last 3 seasons. And then he goes back to the Harrison Barnes that we know and love and just stands in the corner and does nothing.
Yep.
But that is like the weirdest thing with Harrison Barnes. Like, I can almost guarantee you next year he's going to start out hot again and then just go back. Him and Miles Bridges were averaging like 50 fancy points a game for the first 3 weeks. And then both kind of cooled off. But yeah, Harrison Barnes, he's going to play huge minutes as well. He's averaging 35 or so minutes over the last few games. No Fox, no Sabonis. So is there anyone specifically of the Harrison Barnes props that you're looking to?
I would probably, pull up his points real quick. What is he?
17.5.
Yeah, he makes it close every damn time. But you're going up against Houston. You got to factor that in.
Right.
That's something that sometimes I feel like when people look at a prop like that, they look at it and they're like, well, but he barely ever hits above that. And it's like, true, but you're going up against Houston. And some of these teams that they've been going up against, Miami, Phoenix, Boston, those are not great options. I don't know what happened with Indiana, but Orlando, you hit it. So, you know, I mean, you got to factor in the matchup, and the matchup is a great one today. And that's why, once again, if you're going to take one of those, I love that as a stack because it's just there's so many guys in that game that are great options to target. So big fan of that.
Agree. Maybe at the end we can come back to this game and maybe build out a five pick parlay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what outside of this game? What's standing out to you right now, currently?
Right now, Marcus Smart. Love him. Loved how aggressive he was in the last game. You know, I do believe we're getting Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum back today, right?
Yeah, they're both probable.
Yeah, so I think if anything, I go to Marcus Smart's assists. I don't love that play, but I could get behind that play, assuming they moved it a lot, actually. So it's up to 6.5. God, that's tough. It was at 5.
Lower before?
What was that?
Was it lower before?
Yeah. I like 6.5 is tough. I think he can get there. I don't know if I love that play just because of moved quite a bit. Okay. Going up against Miami. Miami's tough. If anything, I like in that game some of the backups on the Celtics, like Daniel Tice, because Al Horford going up against Bam Adebayo, there's a solid chance he ends up in some foul trouble. Daniel Tice is kind of the only real big that plays for the Celtics outside of Horford and Williams. So I could get down with some Daniel Tice, but is he?
He's not on the board, or at least not right now.
Yeah, I would assume they'll put him on later. They tend to add guys at the end. It's very frustrating. You would hope they would just have them all day.
It feels like those secondary guys that they don't add until later, right?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think a lot of the plays that I would go to are actually, I'll bring this game up. What do you think of the Hawks Thunder?
I think that's one of those games where, you know, you have Hawks, potentially a pretty shorthanded team. We're going to have Gallinari out. And the Thunder, we're still waiting on Trey Mann news, but that's definitely a game I could see if it stays competitive. A lot of those props hitting. Do we have Thunder props up? No, because I think they're still waiting for Trey Mann to put those up. So I'm going to be curious what they are, just because if Trey Mann doesn't play, it's an 8-man rotation. And you saw JRE play, but played limited minutes. So almost like a 7-man rotation there for the Thunder. So curious to see if Mann gets ruled out, what some of those Thunder props will be.
Yeah, I would say pay attention to Roby assists. When that prop comes out, last game it was 2.5. He's been smashing that, and I didn't take it, and I was very mad at myself that I didn't take it.
You have 6 assists last game?
Yeah, oh yeah. He got the 3 that I needed in the first 5 minutes of the game, and I was like, boy, that would have been nice. But yeah, he's low key a great facilitator from in the paint. So I do like that. So if that comes out and it's around 2.5 or 3, I very much like it. If it gets around 3.5, 4, that's a lot to ask of him. But I do like that prop.
There's one that I really like again, assuming this game can stay competitive. It's Tyus Jones. So like we talked about, Memphis is just, I guess, the best team to ever play without John Morant. They're just blowing out every team, right?
Yeah.
It's 4 or 5 straight blowouts now for the Grizzlies. But if this game stays competitive, and right now they're playing on the road against San Antonio, let's see, it's only a 5-point spread. So you should be getting the full complement of minutes for these Grizzlies. I really like the Tyus Jones assist here. Again, if you take a look at some of these recent games here, let me bring up Tyus Jones on DraftKings just so we can see what games actually stay competitive. So this game against Golden State was a blowout. Game against Milwaukee, blowout. Indiana game, blowout. The Brooklyn game actually stayed competitive, 10 assists. Houston, blowout, 7 assists. So 4 of the last 5 games, you have seen blowouts for Memphis, right? And he's still been basically hitting this prop while not getting fourth quarter run, right? He's hit it in 3 of the last 5, and in 4 of these games, he hasn't touched the court in the fourth quarter. So as long as this game stays competitive, I really like the Tyus Jones assist number. Do you have any takes on that?
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that a lot. And I think, once again, that's a great stacking opportunity because I love Dejounte Murray in that game. He should ball out. Keldon Johnson has been playing great. Really like him. What do they have Keldon's rebounds at?
6.
Yeah, he's been smashing. So I definitely think you could target that. You could target Jakob. Jakob at 9 has been just – I love Jakob. Great player. He's been smashing that. Like, I feel very confident in that play.
The only thing I will say about that is Zach Collins has been playing more. They've kind of been, taking it easy on Pirtle's Mets, kind of capping him at like 28 to 30, but he's still a great rebounder when he's on the court. And I don't mind that one at all.
Yeah. And I exactly feel the same way. Yeah, every time Zach Collins comes on the court, a little frustrated because I love watching Jakob play. He's a great player. But, I like him a lot. And then I would say, even looking at Devin Vassell, he's kind of like, Jakob, Keldon Johnson, and Vassell kind of are like their second line of scorers.
Mm-hmm.
But they do a great job filling up the bucket. So I'm a fan of them in a game that I think will be very competitive and very high scoring. I wouldn't be shocked if that game goes 240, 245.
Yeah, I think that game has a lot of upside. One thing I will mention, though, Lonnie Walker, probable. He's been out last couple games. So that is one more body, in the rotation. Maybe, a guy like Vassell or Keldon lose a couple minutes. I don't think it's a huge deal, but there's something you should factor in.
What do they have Melton's points at?
All right, let's go. Let's bring up the Grizzlies. So let's see. Do they have a Melton prop? They don't. They only have Jones, Brooks, Adams.
They'll add that later too. They because I played that in the last game. They had over 11.5 or 12.5 for Melton. He smashed that. So I like that a lot. The Desmond Bane, I don't mind 21.5, but he does seem to always kind of tap out right around 20. The moment 20 gets close, he just, for whatever reason, it's either, I think I texted you last game because Dylan Brooks had 2 fouls in like the first quarter, and I was like, thank God we didn't play Dylan Brooks. And then they challenged one of the fouls, and that was rescinded. And then what Dylan Brooks balled out after that. But yeah, Desmond Bane, he just like always right around that amount.
Agree. And again, same thing I said about Tyus Jones, right? 4 of the last 5 games here have been blowouts, so he hasn't touched the court in the fourth quarter, still been hitting this. And if Jaren Jackson Jr. does get ruled out, should be more shot attempts, you would think, for a guy like Bane.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think we can take advantage of some of these Grizzlies props because I think, especially if Jaren Jackson's out, some of these are a little bit lower than they should be because there's just been so many blowouts. So, these guys have not been touching the court in the fourth quarter. They've just been amazing.
Yep. We should bring up double doubles because a few people have mentioned those. And the frustrating thing with PrizePicks is they don't put the data in here. If you click one of those, they don't unless it's like that's not true. Ayton has had double doubles. They don't add them in there.
Yeah, they don't.
I don't know why they don't do that because it's I then have to go and they're making it more difficult for me. I have to go and look that up. But I don't mind if you think that game is going to stay close with Golden State. I like Ayton a lot. Chris Paul, not as much. I think anytime you got to bank on 10 assists, that's just more. That's a lot. And hoping that the game's not a blowout. If Chris Paul goes for a double-double with assists, odds are that game is a blowout. So I'm not.
It is at Golden State, so I think there's a better chance that this game stays competitive. Golden State has been struggling for sure, but I think if this game was at Phoenix, I would have a little bit more worry about that.
Yeah. Do you worry about the 10 assists? Because that's my thing. Is like 10 assists is always it's a lot to be guaranteed. Because what's his normal assists at? 10 and a half
right now. The thing is, like, he's taking so many potential assists. Like, the one game I think Denver, I think he played limited minutes and still hit that. I think the Houston game was the game he got injured. I mean, I can't fault anyone for wanting to go the double-double on Chris Paul just because he's got the ball in his hands at all times.
Yeah. It was DRT. Is that the All-Star game? Is that what that was? Chris Paul?
Yeah, that's the All-Star game where he played like 1 minute.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell's DRT?
Yeah.
But let's see here. Booker free throws, pretty solid. Let's see. Pull that up for Caleb. Let's see.
Yep. So 6 free throws for Booker.
I mean, yeah, he's been smashing that. 15. Boy, that's a lot of free throws.
You do have to factor in a few. I think up until this game, before this was when Chris Paul was not there. Right. So a little bit of a different situation with Chris Paul back, but still, he's been very, very aggressive and should be a competitive game. And with Booker, you're getting like 40 minutes a game whenever it's.
Yeah. It does seem like he's been more aggressive this year in general. In the years past, I feel like a lot of games where he'd get like 15 points and or even less, to be honest. And it feels like this year he's like really going for it. So I think that's probably just the evolution of that team of Chris Paul gets older and older every year. But I think it's I like Devin Booker a lot just because if that game stays competitive. And I do think there's a chance that game could end up a blowout just because if Poole shots aren't falling, then, it's really just Klay Thompson and a bunch of scrubs.
Yeah, Golden State's been a mess this year, or recently, I should say.
Yeah, so, if that game looked like anything like last game, it did get a little closer at the end there, but not much. That game was pretty ugly. God, that was a frustrating game. But
when we had over on Jones and Poole.
Yeah.
Those were both going to hit too. That was annoying.
Yeah.
But okay, so I know we talk, and a lot of people on PrizePicks are taking overs constantly. Are there any unders that you like on the board right now? Because there's one that stands out to me. I'll get your opinion on it, but I want to ask you first. If there's any unders that you like?
To be honest, I barely even look at unders. So my brain doesn't even factor those in. So you tell me what under you're looking at. I know the one you were looking at yesterday was Batum. And
he had like 2 blocks and 2 steals, right?
I remember you talking about that. I was like, he probably won't get any points, but he's a lock for those steals and blocks randomly.
So this is the one I'm liking right now. It's Scotty Barnes under 26.5 PRA. So we saw Scotty Barnes play extremely well for the Raptors, but that was when, you had like 2 or 3 of the main guys out of like OG and Trent and Fred VanVleet, right? It was basically like Scotty Barnes and Siakam, and that was it. So right now you have a fully healthy Raptors team, right? We have VanVleet's healthy, Siakam's healthy, Gary Trent's healthy, OG Anunoby's healthy. So you are seeing Scotty Barnes take a back seat to these guys, right? You're going to see, the main guys in VanVleet and Siakam kind of dominate the usage. Gary Trent's going to shoot a ton. OG Anunoby can kind of do everything for the team. So I think the under here on Scotty Barnes makes some sense. Also, you always, have a chance that he's a guy that's prone to foul trouble too. So like if he's a guy that does pick up a couple quick fouls, like my guess is against Minnesota, he'll probably be on Anthony Edwards. That, if he does get into some foul trouble, then this one's pretty much guaranteed to hit. But even if he doesn't, I think there's a decent chance it goes under just because the makeup of this team right now, they have everyone healthy as opposed to the last month when you had like 1 or 2 at least of the main guys out. So this is one I feel pretty good about, Scotty Barnes under 26.5.
So why don't we do this then? Why don't we do two props again today, or 2 different parlays? Why don't we do one that is kind of like different plays from different games? And then I like that. You sold me on that. Let's do Scotty Barnes under. And then I think we do the other one. We stack maybe the Houston Sacramento game.
Yep, I like that. Do you want to? Okay, so you want to add the Scotty Barnes PRA one as the first one?
Yep.
Okay, so give me what's 1 or 2 that you feel really good about.
What do they have? Siakam points at?
Let's take a look.
Because I do think there's a solid chance if
24.5
keeps going up too. Man, he's a great player. 25 gets me a little nervous. I would say I'm probably on. Let me see here, just looking all over. And we could do a mixture of some different, like we could get real tricky if we want to get like some first halves in here too.
Is there anything that stands out? I was looking at it. There wasn't a ton that I was like loving, but if there's something you really like, I'm down to throw a first half in there.
I would say, if anything, the Mo Bamba fantasy score. And that's because I do not trust Orlando to play their starters again in the second half.
That's a good point.
But Mo Bamba, like who's going to stop him? And 13.5 is pretty low, and he's been hitting that. And Cleveland, that's not that they got some tall dudes over there. So don't like, that matchup. Okay, I can understand that, but the other games he's been hitting that consistently. So I could definitely get down with that.
I think that's a good one. Also, again, obviously no Wendell Carter Jr. So that's a positive for Bamba. You don't have to worry about the Magic, headache in the fourth quarter. They're wanting to lose games. They're closing with the backup. So I agree. I think that's one first half one I do like. I like that quite a bit. And also, obviously, 3 points, blocks, and steals. Bamba's a guy that, great shot blocker.
Yep.
Okay, can we? Are you good adding that Tyus Jones assist one? That's one I really like.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's add the Tyus Jones over 6.5 assists. Again, knowing my luck, this game will somehow blow out once again. But I think the Grizzlies, you can take advantage. You can take advantage of these Grizzlies just because of how many blowouts they've been in recently.
Yep. Let's see. I'm looking at a bunch right now. I'm trying to figure out. Let's see here. Oh boy, they've been moving up Steven Adams' line, so they're not.
Maybe they're expecting. Did Jaren Jackson Jr. get ruled out?
They just have his fantasy score in the first half is considerably higher than it used to be.
Oh, okay.
I'm not opposed to a Dejounte Murray. I like his first half line of 25, but let me see his total, just his totals in general, because
these are 50. I mean, this game should stay competitive. I think Murray has a good chance of hitting these if it does. He also played almost 40 minutes last game too. So, and they are technically right now in the play-in game. So, even though they kind of sold at the deadline, I guess they're trying to win and get in the playoffs. They're playing.
How do you feel about Dejounte Murray under rebounds?
Don't have a super strong take on it. I just think feels about right. He's a good rebounder for a guard. He's going to play huge minutes. I don't have a super strong land on it.
We don't have to put that in there, but that's one that I would not be opposed to, just because I think that like you've got Memphis, who has some good rebounders on that team. And 7.5. I mean, you're asking for 8 rebounds from a guard, and I get that he's done that, but he has done that against some pretty bad teams. So I'm not as high on that. But I do think his point total I like, and I could argue his first half line I like more than I like his full projection.
He's been really good in the first half of a lot of games too. I feel like he usually dominates in the first half and then cools off a little bit in the second half. So 3 straight, just absolutely blown out of the water, right? 38, 38, and 43.
And he does tend to come out with like 5 minutes to go in the first, and then he comes back in with like a minute to go, and then usually super aggressive from that last minute of the first quarter through like sometimes plays damn near the entire second quarter. So I do like the let's
take the over fantasy points in the first half. All right, so that's 4 right now. We have the Scotty Barnes under, Mo Bamba over first half, Dejounte Murray over first half, and Tyus Jones over 6.5 assists. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Was there anything else that really stood out to me? Was there any other ones that you really like?
I mean, we could do. I kind
of want to stay away from the Houston Sacramento for this one, since we're going to stack that one up for the next one.
Why don't we pull up? Let's look at Garland for a second. That was brought up early in the stream by Gabriel. Let's see what some of Garland's stats are looking like. He's another player that's taken some huge strides this year. He has been so much more aggressive than he was in the past. And it's been fun to watch him this year. He's been balling out.
Totally agree. I think that assist number looks pretty good there at 8.5.
He's been smashing that. I mean, he's literally been damn near smashing all of these. I don't know if there's one on here that I really don't like. He's been outside of not a huge fan of rebounds, but like PRA, he's been smashing that. There's only been one game that he's been under that. The assists he's been great with. Points he's been great with. Is there one that you like? I would probably go either PRA or assists on that.
Yeah, I think the assists I like the best. Just for, again, how many minutes he's getting. He's hit it, technically in 4 of the last 5. I think the over 8.5 assists is the one I like the best.
All right, let's wait. I think that moved.
Did it move?
It's showing 9 for me. Let's see.
Still showing 8.5 for me. Let me bring it up on my phone. Let's see.
I just refreshed and still showing 9. Let us know, guys, if you're on PrizePicks right now. Let us know if you're seeing 8.5. I bet you it's one that when you go to place it, it'll say the line has moved.
It still says 8.5 for me on my phone too.
I don't know why. Let me check my phone.
All right.
Let's see. Yeah, Jack just said
people are saying it's 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. So I don't know why it's not showing up for me then.
Do you feel at all? Because I very much like that at 8.5, but I do feel like there is a chance still that he goes for he could go for 30 points damn near any game. And so
people are saying it's 9.
I'm not opposed to taking the PRA and just kind of having a maybe I'm scarred from Vooch yesterday that I like that PRA a little bit more.
Okay. I think the PRA makes some sense. So again, you have my only worry with the PRA is Kevin Love's out there and he'll be a pretty high usage player. But again, outside of Love, it's Okoro, Markkanen, Lamar Stevens will be out there. LeVert is starting games too, so that is something you have to factor in. But
why don't we do this? Let's let the community decide. Guys, if you want PRA, I could get down with either. So PRA or assist, comment which one you like more, and we'll go with whichever one gets the most.
Yeah, that's good with me.
Yeah.
And then once we wrap that up, we can start looking at these Kings Rockets ones.
Yep.
I really want to see a KJ Martin prop. Hopefully they add that.
They will. It's just they'll always add it at 3 o'clock. It is what it is. But and by 3 o'clock, I mean 3 o'clock. Sorry, Pacific Standard Time, guys. I'm on the West Coast. All right, people are liking. Let's see. So we got Moody saying free throws. We got Jacory saying assists. Oh, we got a little bit of a push here. Let's see. You can still get to 10 or 11, plus we can still push. Okay, Jacory, I like that logic. Let's check free throws for Moody.
All right, let's check out the free throws. So 4 free throws made for Garland. He's hit it in 4 of the last 5. Again, I don't have a lot of strong takes in the free throws. The free throws and the 3-point ones I don't look at too much. So I don't hate it if we want to go to the free throws, but I don't have a super strong lean on this.
I'm thinking we go with the assists. I like Jack's logic too of if he gets his PRA, he'll probably have the assists, and then same with Jacory's logic of we can still push on 9. So let's do this. I like it.
Throw that in. I will enter that after the stream.
All right, I'm pulling up on another screen right now. Remind me, what did we have in there today?
Okay, yeah. So we have Scotty Barnes under PRA 26.5.
Okay.
We got the Mo Bamba over first half 13.5 fantasy points.
And guys, remember when you're putting this in, the under for Scotty Barnes. I have screwed that up several times. It is very frustrating.
If you're prone to overs, I feel like you just get used to just clicking over. But under Scotty Barnes. Tyus Jones over 6.5 assists.
Okay.
DeJounte Murray over 25 fantasy points and Garland over now 9 assists. It still shows 8.5 in my game, but it's 9.
Okay, and that's Dejounte Murray in the first half, guys.
First half. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so that's that one. I will come back to the video and enter that after. All right, so now do you want to look at? I'm excited for this one. Kings Rockets.
Yeah. Yep. Let's do it.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's look at. You want to look at the Kings first, or do you want to look at the Rockets first?
Either. You pick.
Okay. Let's do the Kings first. So let's start it with Davion Mitchell. His points prop feels about right to me at 21.5. He's headed in 3 of the last 4. Again, he's going to play about 40 minutes no matter what here. That looks about right to me. I think the PRA fantasy points might look a little bit better if we want to lean the over. Do you have any hot takes or strong takes on Mitchell and which one you like here?
He's been, I feel like, doing God, it's close. They do have some good lines on him. I'm probably a bigger fan of his I would say probably the fantasy score.
Yeah.
I could get down with either the PRA or the fantasy score. Yeah, I could.
Let's do the fantasy score. I think that one looks pretty good. 37. Okay. Is there anything else in Sacramento that you really like? I know you mentioned Barnes. I don't know if I can get to Holiday. I think his minutes, he's one of those guys like in Okoro, right? He absolutely needs the minutes to be there. I'm not convinced he's going to play big minutes for this team night in, night out. So he's one I'm a little bit shaky on. Damian Jones, those aren't bad. We'll keep, I think that's kind of dependent on Alex Len for if I have enough confidence to go into Damian Jones, whether or not Len plays. But anything else for Sacramento that stands out?
If anything, I would say the under on Trey Lyles points.
Okay. Why is that?
The man's stuck at 11. He does not know how to get past 11. So he always gets to 11 and then just falls off. So that's just because I don't think that they really need him to be a great scorer, and they do tend to be the other thing is they do tend to be down. And so you do see a lot more shots from DiVincenzo and Davion Mitchell at the end and Harrison Barnes and things like that. So, they are favored here. So I don't know if that would give we don't have to put that in there, but it's just he's been stuck at 11.
I was just looking at shot attempts for him. He's averaging about 10 shot attempts a game.
Which it's not hard to get over that when you're shooting 10 shots a game, but I just I'm not. I don't love that line for him. If anything, I would say Damian Jones I'm not opposed to, I do like more of the Houston guys. And this is one where if we're not a huge fan of some of these others, we can always only do a 3 or 4 pick. We don't
have to. We don't absolutely have to be like a 5 pick.
Yeah, guys. If you're watching and you've got a prop on Sacramento that you like, feel free to let us know. But
I think the Houston side looks more appealing to me.
Yeah, I would agree.
So
Jalen Green moved to 21.
Oh, the points did?
Yeah.
he's going to chuck the ball, man. He is. Again, this is just a different situation, right? It's not Jalen Green from 2 weeks ago where he's playing like 28 to 30 minutes a game and he's competing with all these other guys for shots. I think I still like that points number or the 3-pointers, even though that went up a little bit too. I think one of those two look the best for Green.
Yeah, I would go with the points. I like his points.
Okay, let's just do, so it's 20. It shows 20.5 for my screen. But let's do that 21 for Jalen Green over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I don't know about you, but if we're doing that, I like pairing it with Kevin Porter Jr. assist. The numbers haven't been, the assist numbers haven't been amazing. But again, this is a little bit of a different situation for the Rockets, or is there a KPJ number you like better? Would you rather go to like the PRA or fantasy points?
I feel like I like the PRA just a little bit more, only because I do feel like if Sengun is out tonight, then that's
He's going
another
to chuck up a lot more shots.
Yeah, so I feel like, and also he's a great scorer, so like that could hurt his assists. So maybe you go with the PRA in case he goes for, if he goes for 20 plus points tonight, he's probably hitting that PRA. And because I think it's also, he could easily end up getting, I don't love his rebounds, but like, would I be shocked if he ends up going for, 6 or 7 rebounds tonight? No, I wouldn't be shocked by that. So, I would probably lean his PRA.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do the PRA. Someone brought up it does make sense to do the assists, but you brought up a good point where like with no Sengun, like he's going to be a lot more aggressive shooting the ball too. So while I do think Kevin Porter Jr. is going to have a lot of assists tonight, I also think he's going to be much more aggressive as a scorer. So taking the PRA, I think, looks pretty good.
Yeah, yep, I would agree.
Okay, so they only have 3 guys on here right now, which is a little bit disappointing. But last guy is Jayshawn Tate. Do you like any of the Jayshawn Tate numbers?
Somebody brought up earlier the 11.5. Gabriel brought that up. Mm-hmm. I'm not opposed to that. But it's like you gotta factor in again where are these points coming from, right? Like they're going to get to 100, right? That's kind of my basis point. I always say they're projected, I believe, 113 tonight. So is Jayshawn Tate? Do we like his rebounds? Do we like his points? I can really do that either.
I kind of like the points prop here. Again, like some of these games, right? This is just different situations where you had like a full roster and they're playing like 10 guys. So I think you're just looking at, so what's the starting lineup for Houston, in my opinion, is going to be Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Garrison Matthews, Tate, and KJ Martin. So again, we don't have to worry about Wood and Sengun. Those are 2 high usage players that are not going to be on the court. We don't have to worry about Dennis Schroeder coming out the bench and chucking shots. He's not there. We don't have to worry about the black hole and Eric Gordon shooting 10 to 15 times. He's not there. Right? It's probably going to be an 8 to 9 man rotation. And I think we probably see around 30 minutes from Tate. So I think the points is actually the one I like the best.
Yeah, I guess the other point would be we could potentially do the 5.5 points in the first half. He has been hitting that pretty well, but I think I do like the that's just an option. But I'm
good with either. I mean, it's basically the same thing, right? Just cut in half. So I don't have a super. If you would rather go to the first half, we can do that.
I feel like because we're stacking this game, I feel like we should do the
full game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do the Tate over 11.5 points.
Okay.
So right now, I think that's all I kind of like. And the Sacramento side's a little bit trickier. If they do add like KJ Martin or something, it's gonna be interesting to see what that's at. But I don't think we have to force in a 5th if we don't like anything. Again, outside of Davion Mitchell, there's nothing that I love on the Kings side.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I think this is good to this is a good thing to run. I think we put it in as a 4 pick and we just win it.
All right. So how this is going to work, guys, I'll tweet these out after. I know it's, again, some of the lines moved like half a point. So I'll tweet it out so we get, the lines, just to make sure you get in the right numbers. And if either the 4 or 5 picker hits, we're going to do a coffee giveaway. So we were 0.2 away from that hitting last game. But if you do tail either of these and they hit, you are going to be entered to win some coffee.
Yep. Yeah, guys, send these over to us that you're, send us some screenshots. We're going to start using the hashtag more winner tilt. So definitely use that. Send it over to us. This is all about the community and I feel like this is our 3rd time doing this, but the comments today were great. with
appreciate everyone interacting.
Yeah.
It really helps the stream, helps us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think again, we talked about possibly even bringing people on the show to talk about picks instead of just in the comments. We can definitely do that down the line if that's something people would be interested in.
Yeah, 100%. So I already got mine locked and loaded. We're in. So
all right, I got to do this quick before the lines move after this stream. So
yeah. And guys, too, remember that the more you engage with us on Twitter, too, the more, we've talked about this outside of the stream, wanting to do some late night props if there's something that we're really liking.
Late at night.
Yeah, and doing some like Twitter spaces, talking about, if we're sweating something at the end. Right. Like you and I were texting last night about Reggie Jackson. I needed over 3.5, or I needed 5.5. What did I need? I needed over 4.5 assists. I think, yeah. And I needed 2 more down the stretch. And then you were looking at your showdown. And so we by the way, my Twitter handle is just my name. So it's Mark Colser, MARC Colser, COLCER. I think it was also in DK's tweet earlier today. And then DK, we should start putting it in the YouTube description too, for anybody who wants to.
I can throw your Twitter in there for sure.
Perfect. But yeah, guys, like we want this to be a community aspect. It's so much more fun to win together, So, and I know that for some people who know this already, I'm the co-founder of Roast Umber. We'll continue to bring that up as people are kind of getting to know me more, but Roast Umber coffee. So I just got 2 cases in today, actually. So this was waiting for me when I left the gym. So yeah, I talk about coffee, I talk about NFTs, and I talk about sports gambling. So that's everything I'm all about. So, if you guys have any questions for us or whatever, like we're all about, the whole community aspect of this. So, let's help each other here.
Let's do it. Yeah, guys, let's get some wins tonight. Let's not lose by 0.2. That would be great.
Yeah. That was a fun sweat yesterday. Let's get some wins today, and we'll be right back at it tomorrow.
Let's do it. All right. Appreciate all you guys coming to check out the stream as always. Good luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.
See you guys.